सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Om. Namaskaram to all. Seeking the blessings of my Guru Pujya Sri Swami Dayananda Saraswati Ji, I thank Pujya Swamini Atma Pragnananda Ji for giving me this rare satsanga. Today here I am not presenting the Bhagavadgītā, but I am presenting my understanding of Bhagavan's Gita. Though I discuss Gita with many mumukshus, I am always a student of Bhagavan's Gita. As per my understanding, given this one human life is too short to understand Gita, since half of the life goes in the pursuit of praise and the other, by then you get this interest on Gita, it becomes almost 30 or 40 years is over. So, in my understanding, Gita is a challenge to understand and to discuss. It's really a challenge. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid etati siddhaye etatamapi siddhanam kaschin ma veti tattvataha. Iti Bhagavan in the 7th chapter, the 3rd verse says, one rare jignasu alone understands me tattvataha. It is a want of translation, just say as it is, but tattvataha has more meaning than as it is. With the blessings of my Guru, who is Sakshat Dakshinamurti, why not that rare person be me? Oh. The Gita is the essence of all the Upanishads and Dharma Shastra. What is Purnam is the vision of Vedas and Gita. All of us know Gita is one of the Prasthanatrayam called Smritihi. Smriti means that which is to be remembered. What we repeatedly bring to our mind becomes our swabhavam. Here I translate swabhavam as habitual. So what we ponder in our mind and what we repeatedly bring to a memory and mind and in action, then that becomes the swabhavam. Constant vichara, viveka, is required to understand Purnoha. Viveki is the one who is working hard to get back to his essential nature. Previously, we were busy in gaining bigger and bigger, becoming bigger and bigger. And at one stage, because of an overwhelming situation, we do become helpless and seek help, as even Arjuna was. Arjuna in the battlefield commands his Sarathi, Lord Krishna, to station his chariot at a place from where he can see all the people assembled there for a war. And so he can plan what missile he can invoke to fight whom? And Lord Krishna knows Arjuna too well, because he's been with Arjuna most of the time. So Krishna knows Arjuna too well, and maybe he wanted to fix the weak link in Arjuna, so that, this war is not a war of sibling, it's a war of dharma. Therefore, Lord Krishna wanted Arjuna to be in his complete form, and through Arjuna, Lord Krishna wanted to stabilize dharma. When Arjuna commanded his Sarathi, he knew Krishna as a very good, a very thinking person, and he knew he is to be respected, and even he is puja here. All this he knew, but one thing Arjuna didn't know about Lord Krishna was that Lord Krishna is none other than Narayana, who wields this Maya and in whose dispel Maya is. And he is the Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam of this entire Jagat. Iti Arjuna doesn't know. So he commands Krishna to station the chariot, and then Krishna, I told you, he wants to fix up that weak link in Arjuna. So he stations the chariot in a place where that weak link of Arjuna would manifest. So he stations it in front of his Pitamaha, Bhishma, and his Acharya, Drona. As Krishna expected, Arjuna, seeing Pitamaha and Dronacharya, he starts lamenting. The weak link gets manifested. Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna says, I don't see any good in fighting the war with my own people. Who would I be left with to live, rule, and enjoy the kingdom? And he is worried about Kulakshaya, and he is worried about women. How will the women lead their life? What will happen to the Varna? Won't the Varna get mixed? And won't the children also not know which Varna they belong to, what culture they have to follow, and so on. And then he even laments that he's worried about Pitrus not getting their part of. So he's worried who will do the Pitru Karma. Pitru will be deprived of Pinda, all that, and so on. He gets worried, and all of us read that first chapter, Arjuna's worry. Today we are facing that. All Arjuna lamented, was worried of, today we are facing. Not getting into that topic. So the worried Arjuna loses his hold on the bow that he was holding. And Sanjaya says, beautiful, Sanjaya understands Arjuna. If it was Duryodhana would say that, maybe Duryodhana would say Arjuna was afraid of looking at the army, because they, in Arjuna's side there was only 9 Akshohinis, and in Duryodhana's side there was 11, and Narayana, the army of Lord Krishna was with Duryodhana. So definitely Duryodhana was so confident, therefore if he would have seen Arjuna lamenting, he would have said, definitely Arjuna would have feared and he wants to run away from the war. But Sanjaya says, Arjuna, struck with compassion and sympathy, Arjuna sits on the chariot worried. Bhagavan tries to change Arjuna's mind disposition by triggering his ego, using the words, Klaibyam, and you will gain a kirti. This is not your disposition. All that you have earned now will go away in one simple action. And so Arjuna, even though Bhagavan triggers his ego, Arjuna's ego doesn't rise up. Arjuna's ego is still worried, and Arjuna continues lamenting. He says, how will I raise my bow and arrow against my guru who taught me the skill of archery, and who raised me, teaching what is good in life? And then he finally surrenders to Lord Krishna. Karpanya dosho bhagata swabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha. I am afflicted by Karpanya. Karpanya means miserliness. Miserliness in using the buddhi. Given the buddhi, I am not able to use it properly, and so dharma and adharma are not clear to me. Hreyas nischitam bruhi adihi tanme shishyaha aham mam shadi. Says, I am. Please teach me Shreyas. Here, the Shreyas can be seen as the best. Maybe Arjuna asked, what is the best for me? Teach me. Or it can be Shreyas knowledge. Because Arjuna was, in his life, he must have come across many sannyasis, and so he must have heard about Shreyas. And so maybe he knew he has heard of Shreyas, and so he wanted to know what is Shreyas in both the ways. If Shreyas is seen as the best, still what is the best is knowledge, and knowledge alone can give the best. So in both the ways, it's okay. Then he says, Sishyaha aham. Shishyaha means Shiksha Yogyatvam. Where there is Siksha Yogyatvam, there is Shishyatvam. So he says, I possess the eligibility to learn. Therefore, Adihi, though you surrender, the Guru has to accept as a student. And therefore, he says, Mam Shadi, bless me. So, Bhagwan now, with lot of love and compassion, begins teaching. He says there is nothing that can really be a cause for sorrow, and continues teaching the Swarupa of Jivatma and Swabhava of Jivatma in the Tvampada Vichara, then Swarupa of Ishvara and Swabhava of Ishvara in the Tatpada. Then Jiva Ishvara Aikyam in the Asipada of the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. In the standpoint of Swarupa, Jivatma is Paramatma. There is no two there. What is there is Ekam Atma. Jiveshwara is Avinashi, Aprameyaha, Swaprakashaha, Ajaha, Amaranaha, Aprameyaha, Shashvataha, Sthanuhu, Achalaha, Sanatanaha, Purnaha, Anandaha. It is from chapter 2, 17 to 25th verse. Bhagavan talks about the Swarupa of Jivatma, and which is the Swarupa of the Paramatma also. Here in standpoint of Swarupa, there is no Jivatma and Paramatma. What is Atma. Then teaching the Swabhava of Jivatma, Bhagavan talks about the Swabhava of a Jnani and the Swabhava of an Ajnani. Swabhava of a Jnani or a Viveki, Bhagavan says in chapter 2, 11th verse, Panditaha na anushocchanti. Panditaha, the learned, they do not grieve over gatasu, agatasu. They do not grieve towards that which comes and goes, that which is not permanent, that which is ever changing. And they do not get deluded. Dhiraha na mukhyati. They do not get deluded. They command Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha. In short, Jnani commands his Antahkarana. Antahkarana is ever under the spell of the knowledge. Spontaneous expression of a Jnani is the deliberate sadhana of a mumukshu. In the verse 55, second chapter, Atmaniyeva Atmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajnaha iti uchyate. He says, who is in Jnana? Sthita Prajna, who has this nishta over the knowledge. The one who has nishta over the knowledge is called Sthita Prajna, and that is the disposition of such a person is tushtaha, always revels. In what? In oneself. Atmaniyeva Atmana Tushtaha. And then the Sarva Karmani Manasa Sanyasya Aste Sukham Vashi Navadvare Pure Dehi Naiva Kurvan Nakaraya. Jnani, he has renounced all the karmas, manasa, physical renunciation is not 100% possible. But mind we can renounce. And what is that Bhagwan is talking about renunciation is not being bound to this jagat. When you say this jagat, it is the jagat, that visible jagat, your body, mind, sense complex, buddhi, manaha, ahankara, all this becomes idam, this, that which is close to you and that which you can see. This logic, what I see must be different from me. And so what I see is not me, right? So I see the jagat, jagat is not me. I see my body, the body is not me. I know I can have a say over my prana, so definitely I'm not the prana. Whatever is happening in my mind, I alone know. So I'm the knower of the mind, and therefore I cannot be the mind. Then intellect, I know what knowledge I have, what knowledge I don't have. So I'm aware of what's there in my intellect, in my buddhi. So I'm not the buddhi. Ahankara, I know I'm the karta, I'm the bhokta. So I know when I see myself doing an action and I see myself enjoying. So definitely I cannot be the karta or the bhokta. So this is the swabhava of a jnani, the disposition of a jnani. I just to concentrate on the swabhava of ajnani jivatma, because the disposition of a mind is very important, and accordingly only lifestyle is selected. Bhagwan prescribes two lifestyle for a human being. Having got this sharira due to dharma, and having it's a rare sharira, needs lot of punya to be born as a human. So we can't even think of wasting it. Prescribes two lifestyle. One is praise, seeking fame, power, money, pleasure, and so on. Other is shreyas, seeking the truth of oneself. In both the lifestyles, dharma is never to be compromised. One who follows dharma is called Manushyava Manavaha. Said this human body due to dharma, and it should be used for dharma. So therefore this is also called as Dharma Kshetra. Now coming to the disposition of the mind, in the chapter 336th verse, Arjuna says, Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya bhaladiva niyojitaha. The disposition of the mind is very important. He says, what impels me to do actions? Katam prayuktaha, what impels me to do actions? And it is so forceful that anichannapi, even without me desiring to do, it gets done. So what is that? This is the, the mind disposition is, it's again the desire, and the desire depends on the swabhava of the mind. So the mind is arranged, the arrangement of gunas determines the swabhava of a person. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Sattva predominant helps in, it's Ati Uttamam. It's Ati Uttamam because knowledge can be gained. Rajas predominant is Uttamam. It, administration, leadership, all these is possible when Rajas is predominant. And Tamas predominant is lethargy, procrastination, wrong thinking, there's no clarity, no interest in gaining any knowledge, or no interest in doing any action. All this is the outcome of this tamas predominant. So selection of lifestyle depends on this svabhava, very important. Education, desire, disciplines, behavior, attitude is all according to one's svabhava. Bhagavan discusses this elaborately in the 17th chapter. Food that we consume influence our disposition of the antakarana. The quality and quantity of food is very important. So sattvika food, rajasika food and tamasika food. Even if it is sattvika food, it should be of the quantity is very important. My personal experience on this. Then Bhagavan discusses about karma. 3 karmas: kayikam karma, vachikam karma and manasikam karma. And by kayikam karma we have this yajna dana tapaha. So sattvika yajna dana tapaha, rajasika yajna dana tapaha, tamasika yajna dana tapaha. And shraddha also. He says sattvika shraddha, rajasika shraddha and tamasika shraddha. Shuddha antakaranam is important to lead a karma yoga life, which is the sadhanam for the sadhyam moksha. I personally feel the 17th chapter should be taught first so that we mukshus arrange our mind to suit the lifestyle that we select. Every lifestyle calls for certain qualification, calls for certain disposition of the mind. So discipline in food, action, behavior, attitude, everything contributes to the life that we lead. So Bhagavan also discusses of people who does not lead a yoga life. In chapter 16, 10 to 16th verse, Kamam ashritya dushpuram dambamana madanvitaha Ārsha pasha shatair baddhaha kama krodha parayanaha. They challenge, is there anyone equal to me? Konyosti sadrisho maya. Ishvaraha ahamiti, they challenge. Bhagavan says, finally they destroy themselves. Patanti narake asuchau. Being a sadhaka, I found this portion of teaching very important, so that My ahankara does not rise up to this height of cruelty. A simple desire, unfulfilled, has the capacity to destroy us. Chapter 2, 62, 63 verse. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanchayate kamaha kamat krodho bijayate krodhat bhavati sammohaha sammohat smriti vibramaha smriti bramshat buddhi nashaha buddhi nashat pranashyati. The simple desire can destroy us if not unfulfilled. Therefore, in chapter 16, 21st verse, Bhagavan advises to give up these three, Kamaha, Krodhaha and Lobhaha, since they are the doors for our own destruction. And as a karma yogi, Bhagavan says, Karmani eva adhikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. We have adhikara in performing an action, but towards the palam, we don't have any say. So, since we don't have any say over the result of our action, so he says, Sangam tyaktva kuru karmani, dropping the anxiety over the fruit of action, dropping the bondage towards the action, do karmas. And he says, what's yoga? Yogaha karmasu kaushalam. The spontaneous dharmic action is yogaha. What you expect of others is expected of you by others, is the universal value, samanya dharma. In my discussion group, I request all to make two lists. One is what I expect others to do to me and what I don't expect others to do to me. Two lists. At the end of the list, I request them to write what I expect others to do to me, I do to others. What I don't expect others to do to me, I don't do to others. Never in my life I do that to others. They said this helped them a lot in resolving many issues and to lead a yoga life. And Bhagavan says, Sanyasavatu mahabaho dukkhamaptum ayogataha yoga yukto munir brahma nachirena adigachyuti. Sannyasa, taking to sannyasa, is the life of sannyasa is very difficult if a person has not disciplined oneself. So yogi is a sannyasi. Other than yogi, the other who are not leading a karma yoga life, that is not leading a dharmic life and not having any disciplines, is called ayogi. In Tamil, this word ayogi is supposed to be a bad word. Not understanding the meaning of it. This ayogi means the one who is not disciplined is called an ayogi. Then yoga yuktaha munihi brahma. The munihi, who is a muni? One whose mind is in the dispel of knowledge, one who is not given to emotions. Such a person is called yogi yuktaha. In no moment the person gains the goal attains the goal. So the disposition of the mind is very important for a jignasu. And then Bhagavan says, Sarva dharman, sarva karman, parityajya, mamekam sharanam vraja, aham tva sarva papebhyaha, mokshayishyami ma suchaha. Don't worry. Surrender. Completely giving up the bondage on all the actions, on everything. Surrender totally to me. I will clear you from all the papas. Even the punya is considered to be papa because the punya also earns us a celestial body still, even though it is a celestial body, still it is a body. And then once the punya is over, we'll have to come back, don't know, to the papa yoni or to the manushya yoni. It depends on our karma. So he says, Sarva papebhyaha mokshayishyami. When he says that only knowledge can burn all the set of karmas that are sitting in our sanchita mota, sanchita baggage. So only knowledge can burn. That when he says sarva papebhyaha mokshayishyami means I will clear you from every papa and punya, is that is possible only by knowing the self. And if you knowing the self, surrendering to Bhagwan for this knowledge, having gotten this knowledge, you wake up as Sakshat Narayana. There are many more topics in Gita. Gita is a vast. Any topic you can pick up and start an organization. That many topics Gita has. So I conclude the sharing of my understanding of Bhagwan's Gita with a verse from 17th chapter. Om Tat Sat iti nirdeshaha brahmanas trividas smritaha brahmanas tena vedascha yajñascha vihitaf pura. In the Vedas, any and every action begins with the utterance of any of these words or all the three words. Om Tat Sat. So Bhagwan says, perform every action uttering Om Tat Sat. These three shabdas purify our attitude. So, Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you for listening to me. Om. Thank you, Swaminiji, for giving me this opportunity. Om.